All right, thanks for listening to the Aggie Up podcast. This is Isaac Draxler. I'm just recording this on my way up to Logan, just driving in my car. So if you hear any weird noises or I have to pause or something, that's why. But definitely wanted to get a recording out there so you can listen to it on the way to the game or today before the game. This Saturday is the Air Force game. Exciting day, exciting game coming up. It's on ESPN too. It's we're going to have some exciting guests, some members of the Utah Jazz. I'll probably, if you stay tuned to Aggie Up on Twitter, we'll definitely go live on Periscope right before the game, as we see what the students have in store, and when Donovan Mitchell and the other members of the Jazz come up, Royce O'Neal and George Niang, as they come on the field and different things like that. I'll definitely Periscope that. So stay tuned. That'll be cool. It's definitely going to be an exciting night. An exciting game. Whiteouts are always fun. I love the night games on Saturday. Hit me up on Twitter if you have any comments about that or don't like it for some reason. But really, it's a one time a year thing. I'm glad not every game is a late night Saturday game like some of the BYU and Boise State games turn into. If every game was late night on Saturday, it gets a little old, and especially it gets cold the later we get in the season. So a few keys to the game. Let me jump right in. Definitely want to cover a few important topics. I think, looking back at the last 3 games against Air Force, one of the keys, huge keys, has been turnovers. And a couple of years ago when we had a fumble, Kim Myers had a fumble that was, I think, a close call, a review that was called a fumble. That was a huge turn in the game last year, if you remember, a fumble in the end zone. Really, the Aggies have played well enough on offense and should be able to run the ball and throw the ball through the air and move the ball, score enough points to beat Air Force, even if their even if their defense isn't perfect against the triple option, and even if Air Force puts together some good drives, Utah State should be able to score enough points as long as they're not fumbling and throwing interceptions and different things. So the turnover battle is huge. Like I say, even if Utah State doesn't cause a bunch of fumbles or get turnovers themselves, if they don't turn over the ball, the Aggies will win. So that's the main key, number one, 100% key. The other key to the game is limit the big plays for Air Force, and the reason why that happens is you get them on the outside with only one defender out there. We saw it against Michigan State when, for some reason, it was definitely smart of them. It was definitely a great play call, but when Michigan State called those two option plays, you could tell it was going to be a big play because Utah State had one defender outside, and the quarterback was running with the running back right next to him. When the Aggie defender hit the quarterback, right before the quarterback pitched it, so and he was and the running back was off to the races. So those oh crap plays against Air Force, you kind of have to count them up if you avoid that. Even if you're giving up maybe a few yards per play, or they're getting a few decent runs up the middle or something like that, You can live with that. You just don't want those plays. Same thing in the passing game. Obviously, you want to cover their receivers, not let them get wide open because they can hit those plays. But that being said, if the run defense is good up the middle, the defense is swarming to the ball and they're creating some stops. They're being aggressive and not just getting lost in those in the wash, as I like to say, because the offensive linemen just go out and they cut people and they just try to create havoc, right? So if they create enough havoc, if they create enough of a distraction and get people out of the get the defenders on the ground or out of place, then they can get good running plays. So that's a huge key as well. But I haven't seen a lot of that through a few games with Air Force. I think they'll mix things up a little bit more this year. Maybe they'll throw the ball a few times. But if the Aggies can create enough third and longs and create enough long yardage situations, then they can definitely stop those. Definitely get some interceptions and obviously stop those drives if they can make them throw the ball. So those are kind of the common every year, every time you play Air Force. Those are keys. But I think the key number one, or the key kind of specific to this game, is the Aggies put together drives, protect the football, and finish drives with touchdowns. So if they can finish drives with touchdowns, I'm not saying anything crazy as far as every game, same keys, but especially against Air Force, because you're not going to get a ton of opportunities. Air Force isn't going to just hurry up. They're not a hurry up offense or something that you're going to get the ball back quick or have a lot of possessions. So when the Aggies get in the red zone, they need to take advantage of it. That's a mark of good coaching, good leaders, good quarterbacks, good offense. That when you get in the red zone, you can punch it in, you can score, and really, I think the Aggies' offense should have a couple mismatches. So last year we saw Ronquavian Tarver was unstoppable, and so anytime the Aggies wanted to throw a back shoulder pass to Ronquavian, he'd catch it and they'd move the ball, and they had no problem doing that. So they've got to just milk that for all it's worth, whether it's Ronquavian, whether it's Dax Raymond, and just take advantage of that over and over and over, and not go away from something that's working, and then put up enough points so that no matter if Air Force gets a few good drives put together, the Aggies can win. So first one to 30. I think maybe even the Aggies should score 40 in the 40s today. I'm expecting something like 42 points. Something in the 40s, I think, is definitely possible. This Air Force defense isn't one of the better defenses they're going to play. It'll be interesting to see what they try to do. Maybe they throw some more zone or different things, because last year, obviously, the man-to-man was not working at all with Tarver and some different things we've seen. So that's one of the, or I guess those are my major keys. And as always, hit me up on Twitter. Go to Aggie Up, tweet at me, and let me know what you think your keys to the game are. It's definitely a revenge game. I think I've been to all three of these games. I take that back. I missed the game in Air Force, but three. I think has Air Force beat the Aggies 4 out of 5, and the only. Trying to think, because the Air Force has won 3 straight, right? But then I was at the game before that, the year before that. So yeah, I think Air Force has beat the Aggies 4 out of 5 years, and really that's something that shouldn't happen. That's something that the Aggies, we got to change. The Aggies have got to beat teams like Air Force. They got to beat teams like Colorado State. They've got to beat teams like Wyoming, and come through with a big season. Set up that finishing game in Boise. So let's. I'll pause. I maybe come back in a minute and finish up. But I appreciate you guys listening. As always, 24/7 Sports is our sponsor. So go to 24/7 Sports. Go to ustateaggies.com for all of your latest recruiting news and updates. Utah State will have 3 official visitors, maybe even 4. I think it's 3 official visitors of the game. Tonight we've got some updates at ustateaggies.com. So go check it out. We'll continue to update those throughout the coming days and coming weeks. The Aggies should have some more official visitors this year to games and leading into signing day, early signing day in December again, and then regular signing day in February. So thanks for listening. I definitely think we'll record another podcast. Definitely leading up to BYU, we'll record another podcast. We'll make this a little bit more regular with schedules not quite as crazy as they were during the summer. For some reason, this summer was just insane. Trying to get Seth or Brian or myself to get together or to record a podcast was ridiculous. So hopefully we definitely will. Check back as always, and we love the interaction. We love to kind of get things off our chest, talk Aggie sports, Aggie football, and we appreciate all of you listening. Thanks for listening. This is the Aggie Out Podcast. All right, so one more kind of side note, and let me I guess update you on the injury status. Last week, the Aggies were missing a couple linebackers. Suli Tamavena was out, and David Woodward was out. That was just precautionary. Suli and Woodward back tonight will be a huge deal. That's one of the reasons why some of my keys before were, I think it would have been different if the Aggies were missing a couple linebackers. If Woodward and Tamavena were out tonight, that would definitely be a kind of key or something to watch for tonight. With those guys in the game, definitely feel a lot better about the Aggies' speed to get to the outside. Like I say, those linebackers and those safeties can't get blocked and can't get caught up with those offensive linemen and receivers and tight ends that the Air Force Academy tries to jumble up on offense. So that's going to be a huge key, or it's going to be a huge deal for the Aggie defense. I'm pretty confident in the Aggies' defensive scheme with those guys. Nose guard is kind of a position to watch a little bit with Mo Wasike. This year with basically they're planning on trying to redshirt him. So if they can only play him in 4 games or less, obviously at nose guard, nose tackle, or defensive end, they're going to try to get a red shirt for him so that he can get set. But they have Leilua, who can kind of cross train a little bit. I personally like the a little bit smaller defense